Thank you. In fact, in the previous session, Alexander Azimov's report created great interest. I'll try to speak about on the same topic from a different perspective. Just because in the given case there are no common standards, and the more perspectives, the better. Accordingly, I'll introduce the Association of OpenNet. One of the tasks is to provide technical expertise and to talk to stakeholders and get their opinions. The main motivations of such research are connected with the following: that in many countries, in Russia, or relatively recently, the same talks were raised in Armenia, because whether our country is well connected to internet, can anybody cut it from the internet from the US COSTEP, or say that, or some other third country can cut it off. But all this communication is the talk of the politicians. But unless we have quantitative assessment of this or that phenomena in terms of this or that country, these are all speculations. We can't speak precisely about it. As it was already mentioned here, as one of the most important instruments, Repstat, to use this presentation in connection with yesterday's performance, we try to get as much as possible statistics in the given Repstat. We use attribution of its resources, autonomous systems in the given case, as well as part connected with RIPLEAS and other possible sources which collect route information. We'll talk about this as well. In fact, this research is quite simple. We attribute autonomous systems, net operator connected in this or that country, and we calculate for the assessment of interconnection of operators. Do they use connectivity? We just calculate the connectivities. We connect it inside the country by local operators, as well as we look how the country is going outside. In fact, this research has several simplifications and assumptions, and we'll talk about them. As like website and BKPK stream have interface for stream writing. That is, if that you see as the widgets, and Alex Emiliaka talked about the widgets, there is wonderful interface that you can use. Accordingly, let's look at what the results are. Historical diagram, the host country, about Armenia, in certain pieces. This is the quantity of autonomous systems. The blue one is registered autonomous systems since 2003. This, though, in the previous presentation, he said he collected information during the previous 16 years, like RIPE. In RIPE, the information on this from 2003. That's why the diagram is made from 2003. The top is the quantity of registered autonomous systems. The red line is the autonomous systems that are seen in the routed systems. That number of resources used and is used to connect to internet. You see that the market is increasing, the number of operators is increasing, and number of connections to internet is increasing. What is not growing? The green line. It's the amount of autonomous systems which are included or engaged in international connection. And somewhere long time ago, in 2003, probably or 4, 2005 or 6, there were 10 operators that actively worked with foreign companies. At the same time, the number of local operators is increasing. At the same time, there is a topic to speak about the following: that the operators in Armenia are going outside. Wonderful too diagrams. This is the quantitative graphs. The blue one is the links inside, and the red line is the links outside between various pairs. The red line is from Armenia to other non-Armenian operators. Accordingly, we see that the connection between the operators is increasing the same way as the quantity of operators with outsiders is growing. And the diagram of external link at some point. The diagram is from 2003 to 2016, by the way. You can make your relevant assumptions based on this diagram. The number of links, international links, is increasing. Here we can interpret the results. Most of all, this is the year, it's 2014. That one of the major operators that provides connections went out to international exchange, and their connectivity improved. The diagrams do not allow us to assess Armenia's place in global internet to compare it with the neighbors, like they asked us to compare. And let's look at what we can compare. The first part is the changes by time. As always, it should be up to the rise. Everything is increasing. But to compare various countries, first we need to compare the relations. Then I'll show several diagrams that compare the relations of quantity of this or that connectivity or autonomous systems. I'm telling what will be on the next picture. So we need to compare the regions, countries in the region, and we normalize the statistics within each country with the quantity of autonomous systems that are in the routing. Accordingly, this will be either the quantity of autonomous systems having external connectivity, external link, or the quantity of links. Those who wanted the diagram, please, you can see it. I guess you do not understand anything in this diagram. Try to look at the screen in the middle. Diagram, for those who don't see, it's kind of a lot of colorful lines that you do not understand anything in them. These are relations. These are relations. In the given case, the quantity of links between autonomous systems, and this is a link at the peer or supplier and client. They are considered in one way. There we go. So all the screen show it. So this is the links inside the country between various operators and the number of routing AS. You see the two bottom diagrams in the corner. Everything is for the ENOG countries, with the exception of Baltic countries, probably CIS countries. The two angled countries is Turkmenistan and Tajikistan. The quantity of operators is very small. That's why a small change will show this kind of results. The top red diagram is the Russian Federation. Then we'll compare it again. The quantity of links between countries is quite developed. That is links, quantity of links inside the country, and the internet exchanges, and the attempts to eliminate certain problems of geolocation bring this to this kind of results. Then in the middle, you see quite a thick diagram of the rest of the countries, which are divided into two clusters. Let's try to see separately. This kind of a relation for Russia, Armenia, and Ukraine, as well as the most developed internet countries like the Netherlands, Germany, and the USA. The top diagram is USA, top line. They are the oldest internet. They developed quite a long time ago, and little opportunities to go out. That's why they had the opportunity to build very much linked internet. But this linked internet, though the diagram is high, you see the relation between two links on the routing systems is like 1.5 links. The difference is not that big, irrespective of how much clients you have. By the way, we see very well that Armenia is in the middle of this list. Kind of development that is links inside are good, but they are not that bad. I want to make a remark on the topic that how valid these data are. Another diagram about CIS. Again, relations, quantity, the quantity of AS participating in international links. On top, we have two wonderfully broken diagrams. In Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, they have systems that take part in international connection. You see that that level. On the other hand, to compare countries will be difficult, because if the country is big, like Russia, the autonomous systems are many, and external connection links are not that many. So the relation rate will be low. Let's look at the countries that are reasonable to compare. There was a question to the previous speaker: can we compare with all our neighbors? The lady who asked it, is she here? Great. On this diagram, I compared the quantity of AS having outside links for Armenia in these neighbors, Azerbaijan, Iran, and Turkey. What can we say looking at this diagram? The lowest pink line is Iran. Despite the quantity of systems AS participating in links is several hundreds as compared with Armenia, several dozens. Also, considering the sanctions with neighboring countries, they give very low rate or ratio showing the links. Accordingly, you see quite a well-developed economy of Turkey. We need to compare Georgia, Armenia on these this index are leading, but the red line is Azerbaijan. In Armenia, in Azerbaijan, like in Armenia, there are several dozens of AS, and depending on the time, based on this kind of statistics, the number of autonomous systems that have outside links, they float between 2 to 10. And the reason for this kind of floating is not only the regulatory and complicated connections, but also the method of collecting research information. I'll speak about it later. A similar ratio for developed economies: Armenia, Russia, Ukraine, Germany, Netherlands, and USA. The bottom low orange line is US, a separate continent. Certain operators go outside, working either with Canada or Mexico. That's why relations going out our autonomous systems are low. The top two lines, the blue one is Germany. It is in the middle of Europe. For operators, it's convenient to work on this side and that side, and it's also connected with the fact that the German autonomous systems is almost in all countries of Europe. That's why you have this kind of a good result. And on the second top is Ukraine. It's between Europe and Russia, and including also the countries of Caucasian region. That's why I have this kind of an interesting diagram. So, beautiful diagrams are over, fun will be at the end. So how these can be applied? Alex Semeniak during the above said that in Russia there is a political organization called Unit of Internet Protection. They brought internet to the political agenda. And they use our data. Accordingly, they publish the diagram and they can make these judgments on this diagram. So they took the commitment so that they do not cut us from the internet. So every time they speak about the cutting off of the internet, they can talk about this. Now, the questions that might arise towards this kind of researches. First of all, this research is based on the data that is collected by the RIPE NCC in the whole world, which are quite far from us, the current locations. The closest one is Moscow IX. Probably from the route they take information. Accordingly, they have information on route use, and the Americans from afar see very badly what's happening. We see the relations on the border of the country. You see the supplier, you see their client, but we do not see the relations inside the country. Kind of diagrams related to internal links, they are quite relative. Thanks to that, like Alexander mentioned in his speech, I'll call you for establishing information multi-hub BGP, where you will be able to show us or some other research organization. If you don't want Russian, then non-commercial or commercial Alexander's company, you can raise this kind of information sessions with the RIPECs. And to explain what the purpose of this was. To tell the researchers how your operator, your educational network, your enterprise, if you have a connection to BGP, how they see the world. And depending on that, you can get either statistic information or historically maintained in RIPERIS the way your operator functions. Besides, you will help settling this so that if you have a BGP client and accordingly he behaves bad, then from outside the researchers will tell you about that if they watch that connection. And besides that, this research is also Alexander's research. Pay attention our control plane. In fact, the packages in certain cases can be quite differently. Either they use routing information where they do not have route collector. Peering relations inside the country are not all visible, and guesses can be done from the center. On this topic, RIPE NCC, Alex Semeniak said that they compare data from RIPE Atlas and they do data playing and through which the packages are going. Okay, they plan to do it. Okay, if you just turn and we will help. And today is a wonderful day. On behalf of my organization, I'm authorized to say that we are starting route collection. We kind of an NGO. The information will be collected. It will be available to researchers. And we speak Russian. It's simple to communicate with us. In the cafe, so we are not competing with anyone, but we are trying to complement the research projects and the researches that are clear and understandable in this region, and they will also take into consideration the local specificity. By the way, for the research, we are also open. A month ago, at the end of August, our organization conducted the first Russian Internet Management Hackathon, where we invited all those who wanted to join us so that we measure Russian internet while using the data from route collectors as well as through RIPE Atlas. Thanks to RIPE NCC, they sent their representative who helped us to do that. Besides that, we used It was not a purely scientific work. As we were trying to use the open data of the Russian Federation, connected with licensing of connections, connected with businesses, and so on and so forth. We didn't manage to study a lot, but we started. In December, we plan to have the second this kind of management to organize this kind of work. Please come and take part in it, in this research. Yes, not management, but measurement. Thank you. I guess you should probably have some questions. From Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan, a wonderful idea you said at the end of your presentation. If you could help to have kind of a hackathon in Kazakhstan or in Central Asia, I would very much like to take part in. Our hackathon was organized very well, and we just bought some cookies and coffee for the participants. We found a room free of charge to organize it. RIPE NCC also took part in it, so you have a chance to organize on your own. With your help, I guess. Goes without saying. We'll talk about it after. Thank you for the offer. I see someone wants to ask a question.
Спасибо. Спасибо за презентацию. Несколько комментариев. Мне очень понравилось несколько новые страницы, которые мы
prototype in RIPE NCC, which we are going to call country statistics. So it will basically do what you did, maybe also for other resources. But if you think that's useful, please let us know, and we will make it a service. And I will ask you and the rest of the room, if there are specific things about a country you want to see, please let us know. Because at the moment, this is just a prototype, so we are doing like basically wireframes and everything. But it's very important to get the feedback right now. So
can I suggest maybe if you have a beta, maybe send a link maybe to discussed or list just so people can maybe sign up and try.
That will definitely happen, but this is before we present something to the match working group or discuss. We always come up with some wireframing and things like that, so we're at that stage, but you have already done work
well,
there.
Actually, I've mentioned this in presentations, but I want to state it again. This is not competence, because RIPE NCC is a neutral organization who collects data. And, for example, we are a non-profit, but we are a local non-profit. Yeah. We know a lot of local markets, which are not interesting on European level, but it's interesting on our things. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. Let's develop. Let's move on this development together.
Yes, that's exactly my second point, because exactly there is no competition. I mean, there is not enough data we can gather, especially in routing. We already work a lot with Qaeda. And if you start this initiative, we would be more than happy to share storage, share APIs and things like that, so we have common format. We already have done that with Qaeda, so we can actually do that with this new project as well. And you're right, there is no way that one entity can get all the data for multiple reasons, including financial relationship between peering partners, what data they expose to whom, and all this stuff. So lovely work. We really support that. And if there is anything we can help with, please let us know, because we would love to help to combine researchers. And just so you know, because you had the control plane and data plane thing, that's also a big question for us. So that's why
I've seen a lot of studies started this year related to the correlating of this data.
Yes.
So well, it's very good.
And there is an EU-funded project to actually look at this from a logical point of view, by analyzing probabilistic logic. But I will link them to you as well, because
you are welcome to us to study Russian logic.
Sure. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, Alexander. I just wait for 30 seconds if somebody wants to ask something. Пожалуйста, стесняйтесь, у нас есть еще два маленьких доклада, но небольшой резерв есть.
For presentations, we have a new social program. If you are ashamed now, then you can come up and ask your questions later. Thank you.